Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for today's video on the fact that the Cheetahs have joined the calls of Toyota to create a promotion relegation situation using the Super Rugby Unlocked and the Currie Cup to decide which teams will move into the Pro 16 next year. This is also assuming that the Pro 16 does go ahead as is expected. Sorry are trying to sort of force the sort of hand with the Northern Hemisphere and trying to create a sort of a Pro 16, which will see 4 South African teams move up to the Northern Hemisphere and play in an expanded Pro 16 tournament. Now, the Cheetahs, well, over the weekend, the Toyota came out and slammed a couple of days ago, and basically said that I mean, I'm going to quote from them because it was quite. There was no sitting on the fence. Toyota came out and very inadvertently said, sort of pretty much called out SA Rugby, which said that it will be scandalous if the Cheetahs, the Currie Cup champions and the Pro 14 pioneers who have been entertaining South African fans with their attacking and innovative rugby for more than a century, are deprived of this international exposure. They have a good winning record so far in the Super Rugby Unlocked tournament and are producing a stream of talented players. SA must do everything in power to ensure the Cheetahs remain viable and strong. It is unfortunate that the Cheetahs were not included in the expanded Pro 16 in line with the assurance received from SA Rugby in this regard. This is after it was reported that Toyota have put in 250 million rand into the Cheetahs to try and over the years to the sponsorship. So you can understand where, from a Toyota sort of point of view, it's a big investment and they really need the Cheetahs to get as much exposure as possible, especially in a competition like the Pro 16, which is one of the major rugby competitions in the world. Here's the problem with them calling for the Super Rugby Unlocked and the Currie Cup to be the sort of promotion relegation thing. The tournament integrity right now is under major threat, and rightly so, because can you consider this tournament a true reflection of where every union is and which are the best sides in the competition right now? Can you really believe that so far what we have seen, and we look at the log, is a true reflection? For example, the Cheetahs remain 4th, and in their statement sort of said, had they won the game that was called off or whatever, they would be sitting in 3rd and etc., etc. The Lions currently sit 2 points behind the Cheetahs and have had 2 games cancelled. 2 games where one arguably could have been very much a winnable with a bonus point potentially, which could have taken them to 15, or could have taken them to 13 points. And the other one was against Cheetahs, so it would have been a complete mismatch. So at the moment, the Cheetahs are ahead, yes. But had those 2 games gone ahead, and had the Cheetahs lost the game to the Lions, and the Lions had then gone and beaten the Pumas, they would have picked up at least 4 more points, and possibly a 5th or 6th, if they managed to get bonus point victories, which would have meant that after 5 games, for example, the Cheetahs could have been sitting on 11 points because they could have had that game, those 2 points from the draw reduced to 1 point, and the Lions could be sitting on 15, 16 points. So suddenly it's a 5-point threshold. So for all, they're trying to say they have been competitive, and they have been. This is not to knock the Cheetahs at all. I think that, especially at the beginning stage of the competition, they were playing some very nice rugby and they deserve the victory against the Bulls. But the issue is to call for promotion relegation based on this competition means that there cannot be any questions over the integrity of the competition itself. And I think that is the biggest problem. I think if COVID wasn't an issue and it was, sides playing their strongest side, and this was genuinely a true reflection of exactly where every single union is, I'm all for the idea of promotion relegation. I think it is a good idea in theory. I think, maybe in a year's time when we don't have these issues, there's definitely space for promotion relegation. And I do feel for the Cheetahs. I think, they have sort of been mistreated by Sorry. And I can understand the frustrations of wanting to be in the Pro 16. But at the end of the day, Sorry has to make a decision, and it can't be based on this lock. They have to decide which 4 teams will play in Pro 16. And you could have argued that maybe the Cheetahs should have been one of those teams. There was big calls of potentially combining the Lions and the Bulls, or something like that. So, but that's a very different argument. I just think that in terms of a promotion relegation, I don't think it is a true reflection of where all the sides are. And they even said that, had they finished outside the top 4 in these competitions, at least there would have been an element of fairness, and they could have pretty much accepted. They pretty much said that they would have accepted not being in the Pro 16. But given the fact that there was no promotion relegation, it kind of leaves a sour taste. So I understand that. But I just think that the integrity of the competition is at risk. And also, there's just been so many different factors. I mean, you look at the players that some of these unions have lost directly because of COVID-19. All these players who had opportunities to cancel contracts and move overseas. So a lot of these squads have been very heavily impacted by that, some more than other. Um, so it's been a very strange year, and a lot of these unions who could have been very, very strong are suddenly sort of not nearly as strong and struggling to keep hold of players. Some unions have lost some key players. So yeah, I just think, given the situation, given how disruptive the entire year has been, how disruptive this competition has been, and even with the Currie Cup, is that if you're going to have promotion relegation, you can never have any questions over the integrity of the competition. And for me, there are a lot of questions. And I'm glad that the rugby is going ahead. And I'm glad we are getting action. I'm glad that we are having some sort of rugby to watch over the weekends. But I've always said from the very beginning, we can't look at this, and I don't think we need to get too emotionally invested in thinking that the Bulls have won their 4th Super Rugby title. The Bulls have won the Super Rugby, because it is a bit of a watered down competition. It is, unfortunately. You have to be very brutally honest about that. It is a watered down competition. And there's been a lot of sort of reaction by sort of the whole rhetoric that Bulls have won their 4th Super Rugby title or whatever, when there weren't any other, there was no Argentinian teams, Australian teams, New Zealand teams, etc. So, but this is why I think that, as far as I was concerned, I was approaching these competitions with a view of, it's something to watch, it's something to get playing again, it's something to start paying for the British and Irish Lions. It's not necessarily about the trophies, it's not necessarily about what this competition means. The important thing is that rugby is being played, that players are playing and keeping fit, and that we are preparing for the British and Irish Lions tour. And I think if you start looking at anything deeper, I think there's so many reasons why you just can't do that, So it's a very, very tricky one, because I can understand the frustrations for all sides. If they were to say, right, well, this competition has been taken as the promotion relegation, the Lions are going to sit there saying, well, hang on, we had 2 games called off. So how can we so how can we have 2 games called off, and now as a result we're sort of nowhere in the competition. So it gets very tricky, I mean, same as the Stormers versus Sharks game. If the Stormers or the Sharks miss out that top 4 by 1 point and they had a game cancelled, they're going to sit there saying, but, it wasn't really our fault. The Bulls, on the other hand, could play every single match, not have any matches cancelled. And how is that fair to teams who have been affected? And it's not necessarily, and you can't really blame anyone for games being cancelled. It's just about player welfare. It's just about the fact that this is the reality of the situation we find ourselves in. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I just think that as long as there is questions over the integrity of a tournament, you can't then use it to have major, major repercussions in terms of promotion relegation to Pro 16 and where these unions are going to go. There does need to be, for me, a more direct plan of, in the future, maybe you do say, right, we're going to have 2 teams in a Sandsor competition, 4 teams in the Pro 16, use the Currie Cup as a promotion relegation. And but then the problem is you have to then align these seasons to make sure that the promotion relegation competition is during a period where all teams can field equally strong sides and not sort of playing on 2 different fronts, which is sometimes a bit unfair. I mean, a team like the Cheetahs wasn't particularly affected by the World Cup last year and steamed to victory in the Currie Cup, where a lot of teams were missing a lot of Springboks, for example. So, and that has been the issue with the Currie Cup, is that people do start to think that it has been kind of watered down because it is during a period where so many Springboks are missing that it's kind of become a competition where you blood the youngsters, and that's kind of what it's become, which is sad, because it's supposed to be, it is the oldest rugby competition in the world, and it's supposed to be such a big competition. That's why they need to sort of relook at the entire scheduling. So lots of big decisions, and I'd like to know your opinion on the course to have a Pro 16 promotion relegation. I like the idea in theory. I just think that right now it's difficult to do it in a competition, in a scenario where it's just, there's so many off the ball factors which contribute towards towards what would be major decisions financially, etc., etc. But let me know in the comments below. Please do consider subscribing, bottom right hand corner there, smash like as well, and join the channel. Previews coming up of the games this weekend. There are 2 games this weekend. Sharks Stormers obviously cancelled. Bulls will take on the Pumas at 2 o'clock on Saturday, whilst the Cheetahs will take on the Griquas at 4:30. All the reaction, the review, and everything right here on Forever Sports. So make sure you become part of the channel. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you very soon.